Okay, great. So, joining me today is an amazing gentleman. He's a father and a very thorough businessman. As a matter of fact, I would like him to introduce himself before we proceed. So, take it over, John.
Absolutely, Simi. So my name's John Sales Warrior Sansoni, and I've been professionally selling for 34 years, and I
Mm.
come from Dallas, Texas.
Oh,
So
wow.
it hasn't always been easy for me. I started off super humble beginnings,
Mhm.
absolutely broke, and now I'm financially independent. So I'm just trying to share with the world some inspiration and good news. Hopefully that the motivation that we share with you today will help you to have a bigger and brighter tomorrow.
Right. And I'm excited because this motivation is specially tailored for all the men in the house in commemoration of the Father's Day. Right. So, John, tell me.
Absolutely. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Great, great. All right, John. Before we proceed, one thing you did not tell us is that you're also an amazing dad and a granddad as well.
I am. I wear a bunch of hats.
Great. All right, but John, would like to hear your dad's story. How did you become an
Yeah.
amazing father? But you start with your childhood.
Well, I'm just going to be honest with everybody. So before I became a father, I was absolutely terrified of having a child
Mm, wow.
because, you know, I think it's the part of yourself that dies when you have a child, and then the part of yourself that's born when you have a child.
Tell us
Because you,
about that.
yeah, I mean,
What?
you see a different part of your soul and psyche
Mhm.
comes to play, because I still remember the day my first child was born, and the thing going through my mind was, I'm going to have to, nurture and protect this individual
Mhm.
for at least 18 to 19 years, and
Right.
uh, and that's a huge
Part of your life.
psychological blow, so to speak. Like it can be tough enough out there just to provide for yourself, and then if you get married, to provide for yourself and your spouse. But now you start to throw kids into it, and it was a bit challenging.
Mm,
But as time went on,
mhm.
I just totally owned my new vocation, and
Right.
I think one of the reasons I could was because I had such amazing examples when I was a child.
Mm, that is so profound, And I think one thing that keeps coming up from major interviews with great men like you is this mentorship thing, you know. But John, could you just tell us briefly from your experience what makes up a great dad?
You know, it has to do with creating uh, times of joy
Mm.
and big
Intentionally
experiences.
doing that, right?
What's that?
Intentionally creating times of joy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can give you so many examples. So here's one. I
Mm.
was in the grocery store one year, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy my kids each a coconut, and then we're going to cut them in half. We're going to learn about what's inside of a coconut,
Mhm.
and they were so excited. I mean, think like such an easy thing to do. A little dangerous cutting a coconut in half, by the way, but
Right.
they were so excited to like what's in a coconut, you
Mm.
know. And so we open it up and we see that there's coconut milk, and then there's the meat of the coconut, and
Right.
just that whole childlike uh, appreciation of mystery of the world.
Mm.
Like I just tried to embrace those kind of times with my kids, taking them horseback riding, taking them
Okay.
boating,
Mm.
taking them to strange places in the United States like uh, New Mexico,
Okay.
Colorado,
Mm.
Los Angeles, California, You
Hmm.
know, I had a great upbringing, but I didn't travel much.
Okay.
My parents were so focused on their business that I think, let me think this through. One, two, I maybe had 3 vacations
Hmm.
my 18 years of living with my parents.
Okay. I mean, over here, in Africa, I don't think that is even, a priority for parents.
Oh, it's not. Yeah. So you
Vacation.
guys, I mean, you're living in a vacation spot, so you don't need a vacation.
Really? But you mentioned something about creating times of joy, and this is one thing that many dads find hard to keep up with or to do these days, and that's
Yeah.
because of economy situation and well, will I say time as well. So what
Well,
what do
maybe
you have?
playing a game can be, a board game with your kids. Playing
Okay.
catch in the backyard with your kids.
Okay, so John, let's look at it from this point of view, because there are some dads that are so, will I say, uninterested in the parenting of their children. They
Yeah.
feel it's just the sole responsibility of the mother.
Oh,
What
yeah.
would you have to say about that?
Well, I know there's a lot of mom dads out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the deepest respect for them. I've had the pleasure because you're in Nigeria, correct, Simi?
Right.
I've
Mm-hmm.
had the pleasure over the 34 years I've been in Dallas, Texas, meeting a lot of people from Nigeria, and I've
Wow.
always found them to be hard workers,
Mm.
and many of them to seek out education. And I've
Right.
always been impressed by that. In fact, I even tell my kids when they make excuses for finding a job or excuses for being able to pay bills, I'm like, I know for a fact there are people that are going to be moving here from Nigeria. They can't speak our language, and they're going to pay their own bills and they're going to make their own way.
Wow.
And
So
and many of them will work a job while they put their spouse through school. I've met
mm,
so many men who are working a job, their wife's going to nursing school here in the United States, and they're
mm,
here on a work visa.
that is so
And
true.
I have the deepest respect for people who are trying to better themselves
Mm-hmm.
and are willing to put in the work to better
Right.
themselves. I mean,
Mm,
my hats and kudos to them, and that inspires me. Like I
right.
try to be a motivational and inspirational speaker,
Mm-hmm.
but things around me inspire me, and I
Mm,
use it to not make excuses for what I might or might not want to do.
okay.
So would it have been easier to not be highly involved with my kids? I'm still pretty highly involved with my kids. And I'm trying to
Mm,
get highly involved with my grandson. And I already have ideas of how I'm going to get involved with my grandson. But like
mm,
here in the United States, you have Father's Day and you have Father's Day in Nigeria as well.
right.
Okay. So over the years that I've had my kids, and I guess it's going to be soon going on 23 years,
Mm,
I've always tried to do something special for them on Father's Day versus making it about me.
okay.
So
Okay.
they're going to do something I want to do, don't get me wrong,
Mm,
but I am going to take what we do and it's going to be based upon what they would like to do.
mm, mm,
So it's, you got to be more others focused. Like a lot of times you'll hear people say, I'm not happy. And,
right.
uh, and a lot of times people aren't happy because they're just thinking about themselves. Like, I don't want to pop anybody's balloon, but as
Mm,
long as your whole life revolves around yourself, it's going to be hard to be happy.
right. Mm, mm. I mean, from what you just said now, my mind is just going towards men who have made some women, and not, this is not to bash any man, but men who have made some women single moms, or like dad moms, like you
Yeah,
put it.
dad, moms. Yeah.
And I noticed that sometimes it's more about them running away from something they don't want to face. How do you make a man, well, it's not, how do you make them see the need to be responsible instead of running? And I don't know if you can relate with a male always like running away, not wanting to face you know, not wanting to, will I say, dad up or man up or be responsible. Can you relate with that? And if you can relate with that, or you've seen situations where you've had mentees who were in that situation and you were able to help them out, what did you do to, help them out? And what can these men do? Because, John, there are so many, forgive me, but that's the word that comes to mind, irresponsible men out there.
Right.
So what, and sometimes, yes, we see that from the exterior, but it could be something deeper, inside of not feeling man enough, or not feeling that you have the capacity and you can actually be responsible, or you can actually work. I don't know, you tell me.
Well, so it takes a village
Mm-hmm.
and it takes association,
Hmm.
and a strong male figure needs to have a men's group. Like
Great.
I belong to men's groups, and they're powerful because you
Hmm.
get men of different ages who are fathers,
Right.
and two, it's going to so if a man is not taking on the responsibility of his children, he learned that from his father, and
Hmm.
his father learned that from his father, and his
Right.
father learned that from his father. So
Okay.
it's going to start with that dad that didn't get good mentorship joining a men's group and getting mentored on what it means to be a man,
Hmm. Right.
and what it means to um, you know nurture and foster your kids, whether they be boys or girls,
Hmm.
in the ways of the world, to be successful and to
Hmm.
have a strong parental relationship. But
Right.
it's going to start, if they weren't mentored by their own father, and
Hmm.
most of the time if they've run away from their responsibility, it's because
Right.
they have not been mentored by their own father.
Okay, okay, okay. But there is also the issue of, let's assume there are sons, there are men who had, great dads, but ended up mixing up with wrong birds,
Yeah,
in
well,
the
that can
social.
happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think
So,
in the world, the more we build strong men's groups and recruit men to join these men's groups, I think it's
mm,
so important, especially this day and age where
right.
um, I think George Carlin said it: "We're so connected and we're so distant."
Right.
Like
So
right
true.
now, a good buddy of mine, Scott, I can text him on his cell phone. I can text him through Facebook. I can send him an email.
Right.
All these three ways to connect with him, but are we truly making a connection?
True. True.
Like
Yeah.
all we're doing really is moving zeros and ones across the computer network,
Mm,
but are we making a true mental connection with that other individual? And I would challenge all the men out there to make a strong emotional, physical connection with their children. And by physical connection, I mean like give them hugs, like
mm,
embrace your children. Because,
yeah.
like, you know, 22 years ago, we were holding a little baby, and now he can pick me up. So,
Right.
so it goes by so quickly. I
Mhm.
can remember years ago, I'm a big exerciser, and I can
Mm,
remember like getting done with being at the gym, coming back to my house, sitting
mm,
down on my couch, and just saying to myself, this is going to go by so quickly.
mm.
And it did. I was a Boy Scout leader with my sons. I have two sons for 7 years. I
Wow.
went on just about every camp out with them,
Mm,
and even the summer camps that last 5 to 6 days. I went with them.
wow. Oh.
But do you have to be that active with your children? Technically, you don't have to be that active with your children, but you have to have a relationship with them.
True.
Even if you're divorced from your spouse and they primarily live with your spouse,
Mm,
you need to spend time with your kids, because the time that you spend with your kids is not just your lifespan. What you do with your children are going to paint the direction of what happens to the future children of your future offspring. So you have to look past the here and the now, look into
Right.
the future. And do you want to have a legacy of abandonment,
Mm.
or do you want to have a legacy of connection
Sure.
and of difference? And
Mm.
and all these things that happen in life are made with a decision. You know, it's all made with a decision.
Mm.
And and then you got to back up your decisions with action.
Sure.
So
Mm.
I don't know how to motivate dads that are disconnected from their kids, but take small steps. A
Sure.
text message, a phone call.
Mm.
Try to get involved with their lives. You know, if they're doing sports or things like that, go
Mm.
watch them play. Um,
Right.
you know, tell them about yourself. I mean, these people are the most important people to you. Your friends can go away. Your
Sure.
relatives can die.
Mm.
Your kids are probably going to be with you the majority of the time until you die.
Mm.
And that
Right.
happens sooner versus later. Like most people wake up every morning as like whatever age they are, they're like, oh, well, I have the rest of my life to do that. No, you don't.
Right.
The rest of
Right.
your life is today.
Mm.
And if you live
Wow.
every day like this is it,
Mm.
you'll make better decisions,
Sure.
and you'll be on a path of wisdom. And wisdom's super important in life. Don't try
Mm.
to do it all yourself. Seek out wisdom. Look to the Indians. The Indians used to go to the oldest people in the tribe and sit down and get wisdom from the chiefs and chieftains of the Indian tribe. They
Right.
didn't put the chief and chieftains in nursing homes. They put them in the biggest tent with the
Mm.
warmest fire, and then they cuddled up with them, and they got wisdom that helped them hunt and and gather and provide for their families.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So yeah, it's you know, it's all starts with a decision.
Right.
Um, and I'm stealing that from Tony Robbins, but it's true. Like it's like you don't like your job, well, decide to get another job. You don't like the relationship that you have with your kids, make a decision to have a great relationship with your kids, and then get a
Mm.
vision for what that looks like. What's that look like? You know, what
Right.
are you going to do to foster that vision?
Mm.
Things don't happen by accident. Things happen with a plan and action.
Right.
And if you don't have a plan and action and vision, I don't know if we can say anything from a biblical standpoint. Can we?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So in the Old Testament, it says, without a vision, you perish.
Right.
So if you don't have a vision, then you're just at the whim of your emotions. Oh, well, I feel like
Mm.
doing that. I don't feel like doing that. I feel like doing that. Oh, I don't feel like doing that. How would you like to have a doctor that's supposed to save your life that goes in and sees how messed up you are from a car accident and
Mm.
sits there and looks at the nurse and goes, you know what? I just don't feel like doing surgery today.
Mm.
You know, I
Wow.
just, you know, my wife and I got in a fight last night. I know this guy's on the operating table dying. It looks like he could bleed out in the next 30 minutes. I just don't feel like doing surgery today. I just don't feel like myself. Even if I did surgery, I don't think that would make me feel good. See, that doctor's making an excuse, and now your life is really in turmoil.
Right.
And I'm kind of jokingly saying this, but you rely on doctors and nurses to help you with your health in times of emergency, and
Mm-hmm.
your kids rely on you every day, and every day is a time of emergency.
Mm.
Every day
Wow.
without you is a day without them.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
just, you know, when you start thinking fatalistically, it's easier
Mm-hmm.
to get motivated.
Mm. So true. Wow. I think that's what, men need to take off now.
Yeah.
Start
And
thinking.
maybe if you're having trouble connecting with your kids,
Mm-hmm.
get into a men's group with men that are connecting with their kids,
Mm.
and then set up play dates, like when a lot of women in the United States will set up a play date
Mm,
with the kids
right.
and the other mom. There's no reason why dads can't set up play dates with their kids and another dad, and all that can come out of a men's group. Because if
And
you weren't fostered, what's
without
that?
taking out the masculinity out of it.
Yeah, masculinity. You bring up a good point. So it is what it's painted to be. I mean,
Mm,
what is masculinity? It's the actions of a male.
right.
And
So even that play date will have the whole masculinity thing there, because sometimes a guy can look at it and be like, play date? Like, no, I'm not going to do something like that. But
yeah,
if they know that the masculinity is safe within the play date, then maybe they'll be more willing to have that. What do you think?
yeah, I think that society has painted a picture of masculinity that's false.
Mm, right, true.
And us as a human, us as human beings, we can paint a picture of masculinity and femininity
Mm,
that is more nurturing to our children and future generations.
right.
And there are a lot of strong men that people might feel act in feminine ways, but
Right.
uh, but we are not this way and that way. Like the human brain likes to
Mhm.
put everybody in a box, like they're this or they're that, and then we like to name everything, like they're
Right.
a that and they're a that and they're a that, and then we like to link specific characteristics after we put that name together, and
Mhm.
then we get confused when we think we have this person in a box, and then they do something out of the ordinary out of that box, and then we're amazed, and and we can be more less constrained to certain masculine and feminine
Mm,
traits.
right.
You can be a strong person, still be very emotional for your children,
Right.
and in reality, you got to let your emotions out, because if you don't let your emotions out, it's bad for your health.
Right. Right. Right.
It's worse than smoking cigarettes. Living in
Mm,
despair and living in being negative Nelly all the time. We use that in the United States. That's bad for your health. It's shortening your life. Taking
true.
everything so seriously shortens your life. You know,
Mm, right.
carpe diem, live for the day.
Right. Right. Wow. John, it's
Yeah.
been amazing. It's been so amazing. I feel a lot of people can learn from you. Anyway, tell us about your book and where people can find you so
Oh,
that.
yeah. So easy to find me. So if people have a LinkedIn profile, it's
Mhm.
John Jon Sales Warrior.
Okay.
SALES Warrior, WARRIOR. So I'm on LinkedIn on John Sales Warrior. Go out there and get some free inspiration from me on a monthly basis. You can reach me on Amazon. My book on Amazon is Sales Warrior, spelled
Right.
exactly the same way. It's $9.99. Also, I have a course on Teachable, and my course on Teachable is called Sales Warrior Module 1. It's
Okay.
a 3-day boot camp that you can take in 1 hour power blocks at
Mm,
your leisure. It contains video, audio, and workbooks, because when you're
right.
working on yourself, it's important to write it down. And so I
Mm,
included workbooks in there. And with that, if you do get connected with me, you get monthly inspiration for free, similar to like what we're doing today, see me. And the easiest way to connect with me on all levels is going to be my website, and we'll have it in
okay.
the show notes. And it's
Sure.
saleswarriorinspire.com. And every month I do a international comedy podcast with
Okay.
really fun guests, and you can get that on my YouTube page at John Sales Warrior is my channel, and my and my show is called Schools Out 80s Comedy Story Time. So that's how
Great.
people can connect with me. And if they do get my course, it's normally 400. I'm going to do it for 99 with a free book.
Okay, great. So I'm sure we'll have all the links to all
Yeah,
of these places in our caption note.
absolutely. Absolutely, Simi. So before we close out, do you want me to
Right.
share with your audience my life's motto?
Sure.
So
Why
my
not?
life's motto will help everybody with motivation on a day-to-day basis if they embrace
Mhm.
it. So the first part of my life's motto is life is short.
Mm,
And if you don't believe me that life is short, try to visit a close hospital where there are people that have less than a year to live.
mm,
And think about the fact that they would love to be in your shoes regardless of the obstacles you're going through right now, because they literally have 12 months to live or less. And then with that, be in gratitude of the life you have, and remember, life is for living. So my motto is two-part. Life is short and life is for living, which means every single day live it like it was your last day on earth, and try not to get into conflicts with others, and try to foster strong relationships with those that are closest to you and most meaningful to you, and related to you. Try to live your life fully with those that are most important to you, and make a friend every day. See me? Can you hear me? That was weird. You're back.
yes, I am. My internet went off. So sorry about
Oh,
that.
all good. No worries. I think for the most part, we've had good, it's been good reception.
Right, right, right.
So I'll figure out how to share with you so that you can grab my video and,
Okay,
uh, and edit it or what have you.
okay,
I'll
okay.
figure it out. I think I can just share it maybe as a link to Facebook, and you can get into it that way. And I think you can get StreamYard for free.
Okay.
There's some
Or
limitations to the free StreamYard, but I think you can get it for free. But I'll get it for you. So, do you have any other questions for me?